And I'm back. I am currently standing in front of the Yoon family house in the Namsangol Hanok Village. Yeah, just go with it. I'll put the name down if that's not right. I hope you could hear me. There's air conditioners right in front of me, like right behind the camera, so I hope it's not just picking up that noise. But this place so far has been amazing, and I decided after going to the carpenter's house that instead of waiting till the end of the trip, I'm gonna go ahead and just announce stuff as I go through, because I'm not gonna be able to remember it all. That's the big thing. I don't know what this is. I'm standing next to like an orange. It's like a big ass orange. Anyhow, this house is actually a remake of the original house, and the thing is that it's a remake of it because it was actually so old they couldn't move it, and if they did they would have damaged it. So what they ended up doing is recreating it here in this Hanok Village. Every house has a theme to it, and this house is classical games, so it's like Korean traditional games. Out in the courtyard in front of the place, there's actually more Korean traditional games, like one where you throw a stick into either a hoop or like these holes, or kind of a ring toss. There's two types of games. And so let's head on over to the next house. And oh, I should probably do the carpenter. I forgot to do that. The first house I went into was the carpenter house, and that was impressive because that was actually over in Samguk before they moved it over here. And so it actually was a house that was transported from its original area to here. And the reason why it's important is because the guy's name slips me. I'll put it on the screen, but he was the one that kind of invented this type of carpentry. So all these buildings are based on what this guy created. The carpenter's house had models of homes, like of Hanok homes, that you could recreate, and it was like $10 to do so, a little less than 10. It was really interesting. All these houses all have like areas where you can go see what's inside as well. So you can kind of see like the Yoon family house had a people carrier. I don't know what they're called. You know, the thing that you put on your shoulder and you like transport people. One of those carriages, I guess you could call it. They also had like fully decked out like rooms, and they're really nice. The cool thing is if you paid, you could go buy a game and play it in there, and you actually get to go into the house to do it. Just like at the carpenter's place, when you're building it, you could actually sit down and build it inside of the carpenter's house, which is really neat. The only free game that was in this Yoon's house was a top. I have no idea how to do it, and I didn't want to spend any time looking it up on YouTube because I just kind of want to get through here, but I will look it up and see how to do it. And I mean, this place is free, so if I have time I could definitely come back. Oh wow, kid just nailed that dart deal where you throw a dart into like a hoop. That's pretty awesome. His dad just clapped. His little sister is just like spearing him with it. It's funny. Anyhow, this camera's getting heavy, so I will be back in a moment after I check out the next house. And we're back. I just exited the house. You have to read it because it's like really long, and I'm gonna butcher this name for sure. It is Yoon Taek-yong's Jasil in Jegidong, and it was established in 1906, 1907. I'm not 100% sure because the sign in front of the house says 1906. The brochure that I just read said 1907. And it was created by an emperor's father-in-law because he wanted to be able to pray at a nearby place. The building shape actually resembles the Chinese character Moto, or Japanese character, I guess it is the reading. I don't know what it is in Chinese, but it actually has a spiritual representation behind it. And when you go in, there's actually a shrine in the very far back, the top part of the Moto, if you're gonna look at it as a character. They actually had like display foods to see. And then behind it, they actually had like farming goods and stuff, which is kind of neat to see. That was different. The theme of this house was traditional dress. So they have a whole section in there where you can go get changed into traditional Korean garb. I'm actually not 100% sure what that's called, but yeah, that was just a short little walk around to that. I've been here for an hour now, and I've only visited 3 of the many homes, like 12 or something. And typically a tour here is only about an hour and a half. So I'm gonna try to speed things up. I'm gonna go ahead and head on out to the next building now. So check back in a moment. And welcome back. I am sitting now at some bleachers in front of the pavilion. What is that called? The Chonnugak Pavilion. I actually have some footage of it from when I first entered this place. And behind me, over to my right, is all the little places that I was visiting, all the different homes. And I just exited going to the Min family house and the General Kim Chun-yong's house. All of it was good. It's just really hard for me to tell the differences between a lot of things, and I understand why it doesn't take people all that long to get through all of them. It's one of those things where they had to add something to kind of make it special, and what they added was like those little games or little things to do, events to do while you were there. And I think one of the things that was happening there, each place had its own game or something, that event that was happening. And at the Min's family house, it was a tea ceremony, so you could try a traditional Korean tea ceremony. It was $10, but because I'm actually here at a bad time, or maybe it's Corona, they're not actually doing it. I think it's a bad time. I think they're probably out to lunch and they haven't gotten back yet. And then the general's house, General Kim's house, one interesting thing that I noted from that home was that the shape of it is actually a shape that you see in most traditional homes here in Seoul now, is what they're saying. And that on the eastern wall of a house, typically there's a window on top of some sort of brick fence or something, so you could see down. I have some footage of it here, but I don't know if that's the exact thing. Another couple things, they had an event going on where I don't know if there's like people that dressed up were this kid's parents or what was going on, but two adults that looked like they were dressed up as soldiers were teaching a little girl about something. I couldn't understand them, obviously. They were speaking Korean. A little bit beyond what the girl was doing, there was the main gamification of the general's house was an archery type event where you go and you create your own bow. There's a piece of wood that you tie the ends together and then you make your own arrow. And then they have targets, both modern and traditional, I think, that you're gonna shoot later on. They were in the middle of building it still, and there's all these little kids doing it. It was really cute. I took a quick glance at that, thought that was pretty awesome, and then made my way back out to the main square here. But yeah, I think aside from that, so that was the main portion of this area. Now I'm gonna go and walk up into, I think it's like a garden type area. Yeah, so if you take a look here, and I'll probably just grab a screen cap. I did 1 through 17, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 17. I walked by 16, which is just an information board. 12 is what I'm sitting in front of. That's the Chonnugak Pavilion. Now I'm gonna go check out, I'm gonna go to the opposite side and see the Seoul Namsangol, which is a traditional theater and a courtyard type deal to go see what's over there. There's actually more like gardening stuff like beyond in that area as well, so we'll go check all that out. I think after this I'm gonna try to head on over to the Seoul city capitol, so the capitol building for Seoul. We'll see what happens, but yeah. So far so good. As for timing, I'm doing all right. This is definitely taking a little longer than it probably would normally have, but being that there's no tour and I'm reading everything on my own and trying to understand everything on my own, I think that's what's taking a little bit longer. Yeah, we'll check back in a second here when I go see that other portion. Okay, and I am done. Right after I last checked in, I went over to the National Theater, which is actually right behind the camera currently. And then I went over to the inner courtyard and the restaurant, the cafe that's in there. Everything here is closed because of COVID. Makes sense, that's fine. And then I walked up and over to go to the Millennium Time Capsule. Crazy enough, that was a really cool path in. They created this whole journey to get to the time capsule. And then beyond that, there's all these signage, right? So there's you could read the what the inscription is. And I actually found the mayor of San Francisco at the time wrote a little something and sent a little something to put in that time capsule. And I think that was really cool. Just checking that out and then going all the way up to the top of the park and going to the final pavilion that's up there and just checking that out. And then I walked back around and found that they have these art installations that are here. They're just like random art installations, and there's actually a stamp rally that's associated with it. You know, I'm gonna go grab some alcohol. I left my alcohol hand sanitizer at home. They're far and few in between over here. I thought there would be a lot more, but there's actually a lot less than I thought, and I'll definitely bring it out with me tomorrow. Yeah, that finishes this Hanok Village, and it's a totally cool free experience that really gives you a lot of insight into the area. Oh, they've closed up the theater, and some guy is hitting up a drum, and another guy is swinging a sword. Like, I could see it kind of through the cracks of the gate. That's interesting. They're not in costume. They're all in like practice uniforms. So anyhow, I think I'm gonna go try to hit up Seoul Plaza. Maybe I'll do like the like creek walk that goes through the middle of Seoul. I'm actually a bit hungry now, so I'm gonna go look for lunch. Oh, another crazy thing, there's a lot of these little kitties that are just running around over here. So that's like the 5th or 6th one that I've seen just sitting here. There's a fat orange one that looks like Garfield roaming around. But anyhow, it's been fun, and I'll check back in on the next video. So until then.